Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing good. Today I'll be reviewing three movies today. These will be most recent new movies that came out this month, and I would like to tell you what I think of them. And I thought it would be interesting to involve them all three of them in one video. So let's start off with Saw X. Saw X is another Saw movie to the Saw franchise. It is the 10th movie of the franchise. I went in with low expectations, thinking that this might be another okay Saw movie, with nothing really interesting other than the traps and maybe expecting some twist. So let's finally talk about this movie. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it okay? And honestly, this movie is pretty great actually. I'm honestly shocked about the Rotten Tomatoes score, but personally I think this movie is pretty great. There's a lot in this movie that's done differently from all the other Saw movies, and this also is a sequel to the first Saw movie and a prequel to the second Saw movie. So let's just get into this movie. What I really loved about this movie is the Saw style filmmaking. The hyper editing and the filter of this movie brings back the Saw aesthetic. The traps in here are great and creative. Some traps felt suspenseful and intense. My most favorite one is Valentina's trap, who is played by Paulette Hernandez. Watching that scene was very suspenseful and bloody. Mateo's trap, played by Octavio Hinojosa, was shocking and very disturbing. Cause imagine of picking out a piece of your brain, even though it was in the trailer, it was kinda shocking to even look at. And I mean, it was probably the time that a Saw movie adds more extreme and shock value to its traps. So yeah, all the traps in here were pretty creative. Having more people involved in a room with a trap of their own. The countdown of the timer is honestly thrilling because there's more to their game, and you're on the edge of your seat thinking if they're gonna make it or if they're not. There's also a part where someone uses someone's guts to bring a rolling stool towards them. It was pretty creative and funny to look at. The plot of this movie felt more elevated. We spent more time with John and his life and his problem in the beginning and later lead towards the game that he created and shows why he made these traps for these people. The characters in these traps and John Kramer's character were so great. So with John Kramer, he only has a few months left to live and has nothing to do, so you start to feel bad for him being in this type of problem, and we see him tear off a drawing of his trap, showing that he is gonna appreciate life and retire. When you see the characters in these traps, you actually feel like they deserve to be in them because they did John wrong. They scammed him for his money and didn't actually do the procedure on him that would cure him, and you start to root for John and root against the fake doctor scammers. There are some characters who you also root for in this movie, such as Gabriella, who is played by Renata Vaca. The final part of this movie is also great because then we get into a bunch of interesting twists where we realize that everybody has played into each other. I chuckled a little because that's what the Saw movies are known for, where it starts to get into all its twists. One other thing is that this is the first Saw movie to have a kid involved in a trap, and that was actually the craziest part of the movie. There's a part where a kid is involved in a trap with John Kramer, and I'm not gonna spoil it because you have to see for yourself or don't want to face anything with YouTube. So overall, I really like this movie. I think it has a lot of interesting stuff to it. It was creative with the characters and their concept, and the traps in here were very good. It doesn't tie back to any of the previous Saw movies. It's definitely its own Saw movie. I love this movie. I think it is probably the best Saw movie in the franchise. And I would put this in my first top 10 of the Saw movie ranking. And I'm giving this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I do recommend it. If you're still interested in the Saw movies, or if you're not and you just are tired of the Saw movies, then I guess not. But in any circumstances, I do recommend watching it. Alright, next I watched VHS 85. VHS 85 is the sixth installment in the VHS franchise. I always get so excited when a new movie comes out. VHS 99 was pretty bad, I should say. It didn't feel scary or brutal like the other VHS movies. 99 just really didn't even look great or interesting. The segments were not interesting. I should say that VHS 99 takes the spot of being the worst VHS movie ever, topping Viral. Viral is the worst VHS movie ever. Some segments were really bad and some segments were really good and interesting. I would say the same thing for 99, but I think that Viral and 99 are both the worst movies ever. If you already know, I love found footage horror movies. VHS having 5 horror shorts filmed as found footage feels like a great way to make a movie. I don't understand why people hate these movies. So let's get into VHS 85. The segments in here are honestly so great. These tapes felt very creative. They kept my eyes on screen focusing on the storyline and on the characters. I love the 80s aesthetic of this movie. I wasn't born in the 80s or been around those times or anything, but I've seen 80s movies and stock footage, so I guess that still counts. The actors in these segments did a really good job. In each segment, they were able to portray fear and real reactions and showed real talent on screen. All segments were really amazing. There's not a single segment in here that disappointed me. They were all creative and unique in their own way, telling their story from 5 writers and directors. My very first favorite segment was Dream Kill. The segment was very well directed. The story was fine. It was a very disturbing segment that freaked me out, and the way it was made and created made it more disturbing. It also gave me some sinister vibes from the movie Sinister. It gave me those vibes. My second favorite was No Wake. This segment felt unpredictable and shocking, honestly. It plays in the beginning of the movie, and out of nowhere the actual scary stuff happens and you're left disturbed. My third favorite was TKNOGD. I don't know what it really stands for. This segment is based on VR in the 80s, and this was really surprising because I really didn't even know that VR was a thing in the 80s. The way they used the VR in this segment to contact the spirits from the virtual reality realm was a really cool thing. It felt really great and it was really well made. It was just a great segment, and it was short and still well made. My fourth favorite was Ambrosia. This segment connects to the No Wake segment, and it was a shockingly great twist to see in a VHS movie. And the whole segment was good in general. It was more like action thriller segments and good overall. My fifth favorite segment was God of Death. This segment was overall good but pretty simple and basic. I love that it takes place in an earthquake and Mexico, I guess it takes place in. And you start to feel bad for these people in this situation. I also love the transition of an earthquake to an underground cult. It reminds me a lot of As Above, So Below. But I have nothing bad to say about this segment. It's alright. My last 6th favorite segment is Total Copy, which is the frame narrative of the movie. This frame narrative was not great, but it was not bad, but it was alright. This was a frame narrative that looked original and felt very interesting. Reminded me of Stranger Things. But as interesting as this frame narrative is, I did find it predictable. I saw how it was gonna end. It was a fine frame narrative, and I found it more interesting than other frame narratives in other VHS movies. Overall, VHS 85 was a great movie so far. It really brings back and shows what the VHS franchise is, bringing creative horror writing and taking its time delivering us fantastic horror stories. And yeah, I really love this movie. It's great. I would recommend it. I'm giving VHS 85 a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend it and recommend the other 5 movies and recommend the whole franchise, honestly. I love these movies. Can't wait for a new installment. I'll cover it and review it and tell you to watch it, because you definitely should watch it. Like, you will enjoy these VHS movies. Trust me, you will. Trust me. Then I watched The Exorcist Believer. This movie was very, very disappointing. Bad mess. There's nothing else that needs to be said about The Exorcist Believer than has been said about a very bad attempt at making something scary, making something actually basic, mediocre, cash grab, waste of money horror movie about demons and exorcisms. Something that has already been made before, like 100 of times in the past, and we're still getting more of this exorcist bullshit. This movie is bad in all ways. The way it's made is so awful. It doesn't even try to be scary. There isn't even an attempt at this movie that tries to be scary. They all fail and come off stupid. Jump scares are stupid and basic shit. Oh my god, they're all bad. I can't believe how horrible and stupid this movie was trying to be with its horror. The actors were bad. There isn't a single moment in this movie where I felt bad for the characters in this movie because of the plot of this movie. It's the most basic plot we've seen in every horror possession movie. The girls in this movie don't do a great job either. Don't act or feel or look scary. They're just giving like lame acting, lame stupid scary makeup that doesn't even look scary. It just looks like they painted their whole skin fucking green and spread shit all over their face. It looks awful and disgusting. Except they do something good for one time only. There's a girl who grabs a cross and stabs the old actress from the old movie in both of their eyes, and that was the only good thing they did. I don't know, it was the only good thing they did and nothing else scary in the movie. God, this movie is so fucking awful. Also, about the old actress from the old Exorcist movie. They do nothing interesting with her. They just brought her to remind you that this is a sequel to the original Exorcist movie. She did nothing in this movie. At the very end of the movie, they bring Linda Blair back, setting off for a trilogy. So whatever, this movie is god-awful garbage. What's interesting is that Blumhouse bought the rights to this movie for $400 million. I'm not even kidding, this is real. They bought the rights for this movie for $400 million and they turned it into a pile of shit. This was a big regret and a big waste of money. Unbelievable. Can we please stop with all the exorcism movies? They're not scary, they're not great anymore. They're all been done like 100 fucking times with the same boring plots and scares. This movie is nothing like the original. It doesn't capture the feeling, the horror, the directing, the acting of the original. The original Exorcist was very excellent due to its time it was released. The directing was on point, the horror made you feel horrified and uncomfortable in a very good way, that you're left off being scared and satisfied in a good way. Just like what a horror movie should make you feel like. unsettling and thrilled. The acting was excellent. The horror visuals and makeup of Reagan was what made the original Exorcist perfect and iconic. What is The Exorcist Believer? Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. It's just a Hollywood cash grab. This is what ruins horror movies for me. And we definitely need to stop with the Exorcist movies. Like, we need to stop with this trend. It's so awful. No one's interested. Nobody's interested in watching. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So I'm giving this movie a 1 out of 10. It definitely deserved it, and I do not recommend this movie. Do not watch it. It's so bad. Just don't. Just wait until it comes out to digital and hate it. Like, I don't know, but trust me, like, you will not find this movie scary. You will not find it interesting. This is basically what we're seeing every time over and over again. Like, God, I honestly just got mad, and yeah, whatever. So that's the 3 movies I watched. They're all new, they're all recent, and hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and happy Halloween. I'll see you all next time. Bye.